Hey there, Wargamers. Justin here, Paint here today. I want to talk about the painting tutorials that I've put out. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the channel. This video will probably be brief. Big shout out to everyone who's continued to support what I'm doing. We're honing in on, or zeroing in on 2,000 subscribers. If you're on the fence here and you're interested in helping support what I do and helping promote Battletech, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends. Help the channel grow. Would like to continue to make content here, put out more Battletech stuff, more tutorials, more battle reports, things of that nature, just try and help grow the community. But in today's video, I do want to talk about the tutorials I've done. So I've just got some of the minis out here just for reference, because we did the zenithal highlighting or preparation on minis, and then we had tinkered with GW contrast paints and speed paints through an airbrush. But specifically, we recently did the Battle Master here and the Griffin, and I really think that they turned out pretty reasonable given the time investment. But I'm not sure from your perspective, if you watched those, was it helpful? Were you able to, let me mount this guy on a handle, it'll be a little easier, so I'm not sitting here just fondling the paint job. So was the tutorial information easy to follow? Did you enjoy the format? Did you enjoy me rambling? Is there things I could do better, things you would like to see more of? Do you want to see more high detailed stuff, more speed paint stuff? Basically, want some feedback from the community. I think that going from the Battlemaster to the Griffin, there was an improvement in the quality I was able to do quickly. If you guys follow me on Instagram or Discord, you know that I paint some high detail stuff. So it's a little bit difficult to try and do speed paint videos, but I think those are not only the easiest to follow, I think those are probably representative of a larger portion of the community who is more interested in painting good looking minis to play with versus spending 12 hours on a single mini to never play with. You know what I mean? Not to say that you might not be interested in learning to do major detail and competitive or competition level painting, but I think the average viewer probably is interested in getting good looking minis, maybe above tabletop standard, to play with. So that's why I've been focusing on the speed paint stuff instead of having these grueling long videos trying to explain extreme detail stuff. I do try and throw that in the videos with like the highlights and talk about it, but then I lean into the dry brushing so you can see the speed difference between trying to edge light, highlight every panel. But again, that kind of brings me back to you guys. Like, what do you think? Some feedback about those videos would be super helpful, so I know moving forward things that I can focus on, things that you might want to see, or how I can format stuff, or if you didn't like them at all and you'd rather just see battle reports, that's okay too. The other thing I'd like to talk about is if you enjoyed the tutorials and you're enjoying the Battletech battle reports in general, if you're enjoying the content here, what are your thoughts on a Patreon setup? I don't have a huge channel here, but I mentioned this in one of my videos recently that when I do a battle report, I usually take a half a day off of work. That's 4 hours. That's not, an insignificant amount of income when you do that multiple times, So if I was to consider setting up a Patreon once the channel gets a little bit bigger, do you guys think that would be good? Do you think there's too many subscriptions you're already subscribed to and you'd continue to consume content but would not sub? What might make you sub? Things of that nature. Like, what would you like to see? I've done this kind of thing before, but I never was able to keep up with it, so I closed down the Patreon for 40K stuff, which is also a very saturated market. I feel like my Battletech videos that I have done, I have gotten way more engagement with a much smaller community than I ever did with 40K. It was almost like there was an ocean of content for 40K that I was throwing fish into to try and get noticed, so to speak, and couldn't. And then GW edged me out of that game. I didn't like where the direction of the company was going, the things they were doing. The minis looked great, but it wasn't for me anymore. Fell back in love with Battletech, got into the minis, played multiple events. I'll be running Battletech Alpha Strike Tournament for the second year in a row at Nova 2023. Some running events. I've gone to conventions. I've been with Bobby to KarinskyCon. Hopefully be able to edge my way into going to the next KarinskyCon after the Kickstarter. AKA, basically what I'm getting at is I was able to integrate into the community that I love. I backed the Kickstarter. I'm a canon character now. All of these things, it felt very inclusive for me. And because I felt like I had an easier way to connect with the developers, artists, authors, and community members like you guys, it made me want to make content. I was sitting at work one day and I was like, Austin, when I put up one little BS, didn't spend much time video for Battletech, I get so much feedback and so many views compared to 40K stuff. I was like, maybe we should do this. Maybe I should be putting out some content because there's not a lot out there. Like, I know that DFA does stuff, Battlebound does stuff, some smaller channels I may not know of may do stuff, and then there's Ash Barker from Guerrilla Miniature Games who occasionally does stuff. But we don't have a lot of options. If you want a 40K battle report, you go to Google or your YouTube and you will find one. That's not the same with Battletech. It's harder to find that stuff. Obviously, we have Tex Talks Battletech, which is great, but that's more lore and polished content on that side, which is fantastic. I wish I could do that. Would love to meet him at some point. He's super cool. But when it comes to the gameplay, there's just not as much out there, especially for just Battletech in general. And Alpha Strike is really fast, so it's formatted. If it's formatted, it's a little easier to film. Classic takes forever, and I don't know all the rules. So at some point, I might do a small classic game and get half the rules wrong. But I really want to do content. I enjoy this. I also feel like this is not only a community I'm getting good engagement with. I think the mental health aspect of Battletech, being able to jump in and not have FOMO, fear of missing out, not feel like that I have to destroy my bank account for this, not feel like my models will lose because you got the newest models. I feel like the environment, the game, the rules, the community is just better than a lot of war games out there, even though it's a smaller war game. And I feel like I could put my money where my mouth is, so to speak, and help cast that beacon into the darkness to lure people into Battletech and help show them that, yes, there is a game system that can be fun and rewarding without being cutthroat and shitty to people. 40K has great minis and great lore, but then the competitive scene happens. And in every game I've ever played, except 40K, I have been a TO almost exclusively to all of them at some point. I've ran tournaments because it was TO, played in tournaments, and did events and did everything for almost everything I've ever played and jumped into except 40K. And I was into 40K for over a decade. I loved the minis, loved the lore. I did not enjoy the competitive community, and I did not enjoy the rule set for the competitive community. Battletech's different. I think it has a rule set for Alpha Strike in particular that you can have a very casual event, which Southern Assault 2021, 2022, very casual. You could be competitive and go, but like the majority of the players are casual. It's such a good event. And my event 2022 here at Nova was casual, had a lot of fun, good feedback from the players, and 2023 would be casual. So it's an environment where I think it's very inviting and welcoming to new players, and I'm able to try and do something, whether it's a video like this one, rambling, whether it's a tutorial, battle report, whatnot, product reviews. I'm able to do something to help feel like I am helping grow a community because I want it to survive. You know what I mean? Like, Battletech's very small. Like, it's big in terms of, like, it's been around a while, but when you compare it to, 40K is the big one, but even looking at, like, Star Wars Legion or MCP, those are more mainstream. Battletech is for a long time been the in your basement college dorm room style of game where like D&D maybe, where we know it exists, but it's not mainstream. I guess D&D is more mainstream now, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not a game that you go to your hobby shop and are frequently going to see it on a table. If you went to a hobby shop right now and you walked in and you said, I want a pickup game, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, almost exclusively, can almost guarantee you'll find something to do. The odds of walking in and finding someone who plays Battletech or wants to learn it is probably small. So I want to be part of that community that helps change that. I want to see this not necessarily become mainstream in that like they sold out, but mainstream in that more people are getting into the game and they're seeing what a game can be without being a FOMO-ridden, win-at-all-cost, crappy rule set. Like, this rule set's great in my opinion. So if you guys have feedback on battle reports, tutorials, content you would like to see, or thoughts on a Patreon, I would love to have your feedback because I do want to do this. I've got the equipment, I've got the cameras. I do need to get a new microphone, and I would like to be doing content more consistently. And I want to get to a point where if I take time off work to do it, like every other week, take a half day or full day off, that it's not hurting me financially. While I want to help grow Battletech, I also got to pay bills. The other thing, as we wrap up with this rambly, questiony video, the other thought I had is if I do something like these, right? I do the tutorials on them. Maybe I do like a tutorial on basing and I finish them, or even in their current state because the bases are blacked out and you could match the basing to an army of yours. If I was to take stuff like this I've done to create content and then auction it off on eBay or Etsy to help fund growth for the channel, help get a better microphone, help get additional cameras, stuff like that, is that an idea you guys think would be cool? Would you want to own one of these minis I painted? Like, I don't think this Battlemaster is the best thing I've ever painted, but your opinion may differ. You may think it's cool, or you may just want to own it because you followed the tutorial or you want to support the channel. I think the Griffin turned out pretty great. Like, not trying to toot my own horn, but like for a for a speed paint thing, and I think I did this in like an hour. Like, I'm pretty pleased, and it wouldn't take much longer to do the base, and if I wanted to slap a few decals, I could do that. So I'm actually pretty pleased. I think he looks a little bit better than the Battlemaster. Sorry, Mr. Davian. But I figured I would ask, because if that's a thing, I may start saving these. Not that I'm going to chuck them, but try and get them to a state where I can save them and then have like a yearly or something frequency type of sale or auction where like this helps grow the stream, or not stream, helps grow the channel here, helps procure equipment I need. Right now I'm at home, so like my microphone's reasonably okay. If I film out at the shop, we need a better microphone. And if it's work related, I can kind of convince my boss sometimes to buy things. I'm unlikely to be able to convince him to buy a microphone if it's going to be mostly me using it for my YouTube and not using it for work as well. So that's why I was asking about this. So yeah, I'm not trying to come at you guys with my hands out, but more or less just getting feedback on the content, the state of things, the tutorials if you liked it, what I can do to improve, and what the viability of Patreon might be for you, and what we might be able to do to turn these into helping promote the content creation and helping procure equipment and stuff. So that being said, as always, folks, you know I like to ramble, and I've been rambling long enough. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, join our community, be a part of what we do. If you want to replicate some of the painting stuff you've seen here, if you haven't watched those videos, we've got some tutorials up. If you want to help support the channel, check the description. Monument Hobbies, Fortress Miniatures and Games, Death or Designs, all places that I'm either associated with, sponsored by, and helping them helps me. So well, on that note, folks, time to sign off today. As always, keep painting your models, keep rolling those dice, and I'll catch you guys next time.